Day, what are we gonna do with it? What's up, y'all? Happy Power Monday all up in your area. Daily Go Getimism show. And we are coming through. And we asking the question tonight. What would it take for you to go back to your old job? Hold on. Let me get some things. Make sure I don't have to look down on y'all. Make sure y'all don't have, that's better. There you go. There you go. We good. Levels is good. Levels is good. Levels. I still think I should pull it in a little bit more. Manual zoom, baby. Manual zoom, baby. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Power Monday shit. Power Monday, baby. Yeah. Early to spam on me, baby. No calls yet. You're gonna have to wait to troll. Y'all ready? We gonna talk about your old job. Would you go back if you was invited? I said, Did you leave under negative circumstances? Did you get fired? Were you laid off? Were you dating downsized or accused of something? Was you embezzling, stealing? Supervisor, manager was tripping and they got you fired. Yo, they gotta do something about the leadership up in here. Nothing could make me go back to my old job to help the niggas. Had a good time, long-lasting relationships. I miss my old co-workers in a... Been there so long, I had a work husband. My work wife, you know what I mean? That was my side joiner. What up, y'all? Urban Therapy with Sun 752 with this your daily. It's the daily go-get-em-ism show. You think it ain't when it is? You think it won't when it is? Y'all here and we are in motion. We do this thing, taking off fast lane, no coasting, and everything is gonna be all right. We talking about, would you take your old job back? Would you take your old job back? Some of y'all have been in that position. I know I have. I've been in that position before. Got let go from a job. You know, regardless of the situation, regardless of the circumstances, nobody likes to get fired from a job. Man, that shit is a nasty feeling. And there was a time not too long ago when I could say that I never got fired from a job. Well, it's a hell of a thing to be introduced to. That shit can send you on a downward spiral. It can put you into a depression. It can make you question everything that you ever done. But what it really should do is it should alert you to the fact that when you work for somebody else, then somebody else can control your destiny as far as your financial situation is concerned. Not saying that all of your money is coming from their job, but a lot of people work on a job where that is their primary income and sometimes their only income. You know what I mean? So they say to make it out here, you should be striving to have up to 7 streams of income. Well, you might be on the first stream. You might just be on the first stream, baby. So, you know what I mean? You working with what you're working with. What's going on, y'all? T Carry, right? Morning, noon, and night. It's always great to have my peoples going directly into your site. And Dimples D's, thanks for coming through. You know, I appreciate you. What up, James? What's good, man? Thanks for coming through. And Jeff, my man Jeff Sprayberry is in the house. What's good, man? Good to see y'all. It's good to see y'all. All right, so that's what we're talking about tonight. Would you take your old job back? A lot of ego wrapped up in the decision about whether you would take your old job back or not. Lot of ego. Let's get into it. Let's get this hardware out of the way. And then let's have this conversation. Let's get into it. First of all, we good? Audio good? Everything good? We coming through loud and clear? Are we good? Coming through loud and clear? Everything straight? Got this thing in your ear hole? If your headphones are on, we coming through nice and crisp. You know what I mean? I'm right here on the mic. You know what I mean? Just like that. Or if you're listening to it on speaker, you know what I mean? You got the surround popping. But yeah. Getting fired from a job, that ain't nothing to be proud of. Yeah, I've seen people act like they was trying to get fired. You know you wasn't. Nobody want to lose money on purpose. Don't nobody want to lose money on purpose. And you was not coming to the job. Now I can see if you was trying to get fired by not coming into work. But if you was showing up day after day after day, you wasn't trying to get fired, because I'm sure you could find better things to do with your time. And if you have the money to not have to really work or depend on an employment situation in order to get paid, why would you do it? Why would you do it? I would love to stand in front of this camera and be like, yeah, man, I don't need to work. I'm independently wealthy. I got it going on. You know what I mean? I work because I want to. I actually worked with somebody. I worked with somebody who used to kick that shit. Like, you know, they had a little side business going on. And boy, did this dude try to kick it like he didn't need this job. It was just something to do. He used to show us, this motherfucker used to show us the checks from his business. I'm like, dude, nobody cares. We are here. And so are you. Like, I'm here. Look, those people over there are here. Our director is here. Our assistant general manager, both of them, the GM, everybody's here. And this motherfucker running around like he making more money than everybody. Like I just take these checks that I get here and I just bank them. I'm like, well, if you need to bank them. So no matter what, you shouldn't be negotiating any raises or promotions, right? Because you don't need this job anyway. You just show up here with your skill level and your expertise and your innovation and your leadership skills just for the halibut. Well, I like to see that. But it's all good. What's up, man? What's up? If you can get your old job back. Jeff says, I was just asked to go back to my old job, and I told him $2 more an hour, and they have a deal. So $2 more an hour would do it for you. That's interesting because, okay, an hour more of pay on a 40-hour work week equals $40. Before taxes, $40. So it'll be $80 on a 40-hour work week. I'm not talking about overtime or anything like that. But on a 40-hour work week, $2 an hour equals $80 a week. So if you get paid every 2 weeks, so that would be $160 more before taxes. We have to remember that it's before taxes. So it's interesting that would make you go back, or that would entice you to go back. Because when you really think about it, it's not a lot of money. It sounds good. Like $2 more an hour. It sounds good until you actually start doing the math. And my mama was the one who did the math for me. You know, I came home and told her, yeah, Mom, I'm getting paid more money. She was like, how much more money? And I was like, yeah. To get $3 more an hour. She was like, oh, okay. I mean, to say that she wasn't impressed. And she retired, you know what I mean? But yeah. So I was like, all right, so that's $120 more a week. All right. If you start adding it up by the month, it sounds a lot better. And annually, it feels a lot better. But one thing about these jobs out here, man, you know, they're never going to pay you what you're worth. You have to determine what your worth is, and you have to find a way to be able to sell yourself. So there are times when you may have to strong arm. You know what I mean? Pull a Jack move. Like, well, listen, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Taking my talents to South Beach. Taking my talents to South Beach. If y'all don't come up with more money, beach. Sometimes it's the money, and sometimes there are other things. Sometimes there are other things that make you consider leaving a job, or may make you reconsider coming back to a job, or not considering or reconsidering coming back to a job. Like, probably all of us have worked with coworkers that were unbearable. Like, yo, Has anybody within the sound of my voice ever left a job because they just couldn't put up with somebody that worked on the job? Like either they go or I go. And I'm prepared to go. Okay, I'm leaving on the next plane. I don't know when I'll be back again. Kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait for me. Hold me like you never let me go. Shirley Sherrill, the world's most precious and greatest pearl in the world. Shirley Sherrill, the world's most precious and greatest pearl in the world. What's going on, my good to see me some? Good to see me some. See me some. You. What's good? Thanks for coming through. Power Monday all up in your area. We've all, by the time you're like 40, 50 years old, you've probably gone through a lot of jobs. Of course, there are people who are on jobs for, 20, 30 years. And shout out to them. It's amazing that you could put up with the same people or even the same establishment for that long. I have not had the pleasure, the luxury, or the opportunity to do that. But one thing about when you are on a job for a long time, there are pros and cons to it. One of the pros is that you know everything about the job. You understand how it works. You know what you can do, what you can't do. You know what your opportunities for advancement are and what they aren't. Some of the same things that are the benefits of working for a job for a long time are some of the same things that are some of the things that are the detriments, or what am I saying? The pitfalls of working at a job for a long time. Because you may know, like, I can only go but so far. I know that this is the way it works. They're stuck in their culture and in their ways. So no matter how many innovative ideas you have to improve business, they're only going to listen to certain people, or they're only going to do but so much. So, sometimes knowing too much can be a bad thing. Another thing about working with people who have been on a job for a long time, sometimes they are very uncooperative. So people who have been working on it, like that old head that work at the job, he ain't trying to hear nothing new. Nothing new. Him not learning nothing new. Nothing new. Him not learning nothing new. Because they feel like they paid their dues. They feel like they've done everything. They've built this company. They put thousands, potentially millions in their pockets of the owners. So they don't appreciate no changes, especially changes in leadership. You bring in some young whippersnapper right out of college to try to train or redirect that old head that's been working on the job 20, 25 years. The old head that they trying not to let retire because he's gonna scoop all this money. He's gonna scoop all of these entitlements. So you hire a young whippersnapper to come and get on the old head nerves by disciplining him, checking his work. Basically, what the old head might label as being harassment. Yeah. Kumar, what's good? Thanks for coming through. Jeff says a lot about these jobs. These days, it's not about quality. It's about how cheap you can get the job done, which means that they hire dumbasses for less wages. Absolutely. And unfortunately, that's the new American way. The old American way was to pay a person a decent wage, give them lots of perks on the job, look out for the employee, at least give the veneer of looking out for the employee. Now, they give you these little shitty, shoddy ass, nothing ass benefits. You know what I mean? And the money that they give you, yeah, like those annual raises with some of these jobs are disrespectful. It'll leave you asking, well, what was my annual review for? For this 35 cents that you paid me? And from what I understand, for a lot of jobs, 35 cents more on your check is a lot. And that's one of the reasons why we look at it like, yeah, $2 more an hour. Like it sounds like a lot, because those days of when they would actually give you raises like that are gone, long gone. So the new game, and I found this out the hard way, the new game is to get as much money upon being hired as possible, because that's going to set the bar for how much you're going to make. So if you don't catch them going in, like, for example, every job has a minimum pay salary, a minimum pay range, and a maximum pay range. Now, if you don't know that much about that, you won't know that you could have gotten the maximum pay range based on your experience, because they're never going to offer you the max in a job interview or an offer sheet. Not going to happen. They'll offer you somewhere in the respectable middle. Like, yeah, we're prepared to, we want to offer you the job. Say something like $57,000 a year. And the minimum that they could have gave you was $45,000. They saw your resume, you interviewed well and all of that kind of stuff. So they said 57. Like you was going to be like, oh my God, thanks. But the maximum range was 75. Just as an example, because that's kind of a wide range, right? Well, let's say the maximum was 65. Now you're 8,000 less than the max, but you should always shoot for the max. So yeah, but because of those annual salary increases, only be like, yo, they threw me 23 cents. Not even a full quarter. Not even a full quarter. Let me say it in nigga. Not even a quarter. Not even a full quarter. Yeah. Shit like that. And here you are still working there. You know what I mean? Partially demoralized, and then partially working there, not even for yourself or your family or your income or your future. You wind up working at a job because you like the people who work at your job. You like your coworkers. Y'all are a team. Y'all in this fight together. Y'all go to happy hour after work on Fridays. Go for wings at a certain spot on Tuesdays. They got 25-cent wings. Shit like that. The camaraderie. Your job has pretty much become your club, your social club. They know you got coworkers who are your friends. They know your kids. You know their kids. Go on vacations with each other. All kinds of shit. Some people really get locked in on their jobs. Some people get very, very locked in. Anyway, so when you get released from a job where you were that locked in, it's going to hurt. And of course, the human ego part of it is going to make you act like it doesn't hurt. Well, when God closes one door, he opens another. That's what you're saying on the outside. That's what you're saying on the outside. On the inside, you like, these bastards shitted on me. And I can't believe it. This is a disgrace. All I gave to this motherfucking place. All of these years. Blood, sweat, and tears. All of these years. Blood, sweat, and tears. All of these years. blood, sweat, and tears. All of these years, blood, sweat, and tears. All of these years, blood, sweat, and tears. All of these years, blood, sweat, and tears. I got fired from the job. It's time to switch gears. I ain't looked for another employment situation in about 20 years, and it's causing frustration. All of this shit, the jobs are online. What happens when you used to be able to beat the pavement and find you a place to work? Yo, are y'all taking applications? I don't know how to do this shit today. It's caused frustration, and I'm ready to bail the fuck out. But I got bills, so I gotta do this thing and chill. Yeah, it's so when you let go in a situation like that, for whatever reason, you know, like old heads on the job are always talking about how the job used to be. You know what I'm talking about. The things that you used to be able to do and get away with at the job, how they used to have incentives at the job that they don't have anymore. How maybe they used to offer a lot more overtime. Not like now. They want to cap your overtime, baby. Cap your overtime, baby. So when you get let go from a job like that, where you're feeling mentally like y'all should be thanking me for working here. You should be thanking me for working here. But instead, y'all have the audacity to downsize me, the audacity to lay me off, the audacity to fire me, the audacity to issue progressive discipline and get me on up out of here. Yeah, what would it take for you to go back to a job where that's the situation? Jeff Sprayberry says, facts. You hitting on something tonight. But listen, man, if I don't know nothing, I know about the motherfucking workplace. And because I worked in management, I understand. I understand what they will put management up to do. Put a manager up to do. To be the fall guy. To be the scapegoat. Gotta do what you gotta do. I was told by a manager that we had to set a subordinate up to fail. Basically, we was gonna make her say uncle so we could fire her. So she was either going to have to beg for a job. It was pretty much a wrap. She had beef with a director, and the director was petty, and the director was vindictive, and the director was corrupt. So this director told me, it's either her or us. Well, who are you going to pick? I looked at him like, what the fuck have I gotten myself into? What kind of fucking place is this? The employee was a good employee. Good worker, disciplined. Yeah, got to set up to get fired. They literally wrote up the review that I was supposed to write. They wrote it and told me, you say it. I was like, so for me to go back to that job, everybody and anybody, not only would there have to be a total culture change, but all of the players that were involved would have to be gone. And I would have to approve of the new players. That's a tall order. But I couldn't go back there. That shit was a cesspool. Look at this shit. Darth Slayer says, do you add a bead to your jewelry for every guy you slept with? You. You're like a homeless dude eating out of a dumpster. Like everything in that dumpster might not kill you, but something in there is going to fuck you up. So I'm saying this, you bitch ass nigga. Don't nobody care about that shit that you talking about. I didn't even have to read your stupid ass comment. Did you notice that nobody else co-signed that shit that you wrote? You, sir, are a donkey. A mule. You're not a horse. You are a donkey or a mule. And you smell like one. Not anybody who has been out in the country and you've been around wild domesticated animals. Them motherfuckers stink like hell, son. In order for you to be a farmer, you gotta get used to the smell of animal odor and shit. Because animals don't take showers every day, if at all. You want a clean animal, you gotta get yourself a cat. But if you're around cows and horses and sheep don't even comb their hair. Goats, you know, your mom ever tell you smell like an old goat? Your mom is straight from the city. You like, how you know? And then maybe one day, years later, you were around some goats. You like, God damn, mom was on to something. Mommy knew. She knew. My man Troy McNeil. What up, my dude? What's good? And Lynn. What up, Lynn? Thanks for coming through. Appreciate you. Kim's Whims is all up in the house. What's going on? My goodness, it be some you. So we talking about, would you go back to your old job? I'm telling you, man, you know, when you lose a job, especially when you lose a job, sometimes if you have another job lined up right away, like within a couple of weeks, you don't feel the sting of losing that job. It may have hurt you. You know what I mean? It gave you a gut punch, like boom, but you recover from that gut punch. Let your ass be out of work for months. Shit ain't working out. Maybe, you know, you work in a field where it ain't a dime a dozen. You're not just going to walk down the streets of the internet and find another job, especially at your pay grade. That's when you start feeling it like, and it's more than anger. This shit can lead to depression. Because at the end of the day, jobs only hire you to make them money. They hire you for their benefit. Yet the game is to make you believe that you are privileged to work for them. It's like buying a car. You know how when you go into a car dealership, they take control of the situation. Hold on, Mr. Customer or Miss Customer. Hold on now. You want this car? All right, yeah. All right, we see you. You want the car? All right, cool. You want the car? All right. Let me see what that credit looking like. Now, you know in your heart of hearts, your credit ain't all that. So even though you the customer, you the only one that's going to leave out of that dealership with less money than you came in there with. Mentally, they got you concentrating on your credit instead of the fact that you are paying. So you thinking like, damn, what's my down payment going to be? Will I get approved? 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 I said, will I get approved? So you buy a new car and they want to get congratulations on your new purchase. Congratulations, motherfucker, on my new bill? What you talking about? I gave y'all $6,000 down. I'm gonna be paying y'all $600 a month. That's aside from insurance. Congratulations. Congratulations. Shout out to Vesta. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Vesta. She was good. She was good money. It was good money. Yeah, but jobs do the same thing. Jobs do the same thing. You are the talent. They are not hiring you because you smell good, because you dressed up, you wore a tie, a pantsuit, and because you worked at all of these. You literally brought in your fucking business acumen. You had a resume full of places where you have made people thousands, or where you made companies thousands or millions of dollars. You did that. They hire you for that purpose. Yet they keep you thinking like you're competing against other candidates because they hold all the cards, because they're paying out all the money, but they're not paying out half of the money that they are making from you. Yet they got you uptight. See, because they got, depending on how many people they have on their workforce, they have hundreds or thousands of people that don't want to lose their job because the mental bullshit has worked on them. You may have it figured out. They don't have it figured out. They need to pay their bills. They need to live comfortably. They need to be able to drive something, have a roof over their head, make sure their kids have food on the table and clothes on their back. So it's all a game. So you get that game figured out, and you mean to tell me I'm not good enough to make you money anymore? Because that's basically what you're telling me when you fire me. I don't make enough money for you anymore. Sure, I'm busting my ass. Sure, I'm disciplined. I'm coming in on time. None of that shit matters. Y'all may be looking for somebody that y'all can hire to do the job cheaper. Shit, these companies would hire, they would just let robots do the job if they could. Don't believe me? Call Verizon or Xfinity and try to get a human being on the phone within 5 minutes. Let me know how it go. Try to get a human being to speak with you on the phone within 5 minutes. By the time that you get a human being on the phone, you've downloaded, you've allowed them to send you a text that sent a link to your phone that you had to activate so you could get to another robot while you are screaming, I need to talk to a customer service representative. Okay, well, before we can do that, it'll help us to be able to direct your call to the right agent. So do some more of this robotic shit.
You have a call from
my Mellow. Hold on. So yeah. So Yeah, like I said, they've replaced all of the customer service representatives. First, they replaced all the Americans for Asians. Then they replaced half of the Asians for motherfucking AI. They don't want to pay no overhead getting all of this money. So in order for all of those customer service agents that used to be at your service and helpful, they all got let go. They didn't find, you need to turn down something in your background, Troy. They didn't find other jobs within the company to replace. I mean, to not replace, not displace, but to relocate. They let them go. They let them go. You'll find another job in customer service somewhere else. Not here though. So, like I said, when you get fired, you get to thinking about this shit, especially when you've had some time off. You get to thinking like, these motherfuckers. So it's like a woman feels like, oh, you know what I mean? You just fucked me and even got me pregnant and all of that. And you just, when you was done with me, you just treated me like a cat that only want to chase the mouse, don't want to eat it. Just left me on the side dead. No more squeaking, no nothing. Just rigor mortis. And a woman screaming and running from a dead animal. Shout out to all y'all scaredy cats and mice running from a dead animal. The motherfucking dead. Y'all give a fuck. It's a zombie mouse. It's a zombie mouse. Trezoid, what the deal is, my dude?
Yo, you rigor mortis in a mouse.
Yo,
A zombie mouse.
my cat done brought me plenty of mice. Or you just be chilling. You walking in one room to another. You see, yo, what the fuck? And the mouse and the cat don't even be interested in the mouse. The cat looking this way, like, you all like, yo, man, I mean, hey, yo, I know you responsible for this shit.
Imitating the cat.
Yo, I'm trying to tell you, the cat, when the cat is done with the mouse, he done. So he
just chilling. He look at you, be like, I did that motherfucker later on. I won't get him to worry about it, Poppy.
Yeah, he don't even know why you tripping. He's like, man, fuck that mouse. Yo, man, flush that bitch down the toilet, throw him in the trash, whatever you gotta do. You know what I mean? He was fun while it lasted, but, and I don't eat mice. That's what the cats be saying. I don't eat mice. I ain't by eating that shit. You've been watching too many cartoons. Cats don't like the taste of no mice. Maybe a wild ass cat. I'm in the crib. You think the food that you give me ain't better than that shit?
You mean tell me that does that mouse taste like individuals?
Look at these dickheads in the chat. Hold on. First of all, what up, Elmo? What's good? I'm talking about these dickheads. Like, when you wash your face, where do you stop? That's some ass shit. And Peter, or Pyatt, let's just call him Peter. He sounds dumb. Unc is crashing because automated customer service scares him. Oh my God, we gotta get these cats on stage. You ever do stand up? So,
Peter named after penis.
yo, he might be named after Peter. He might be named after his priest who gave him a Peter, introduced him To Peter, not to St. Peter. No, no, no. No heaven's gate to you, motherfucker. No heaven's gate to you. Nothing but ball juice and bad memories, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Yo, man, damn, man. And you know the church is gonna deny that the priest did anything. Like, yo, don't be lying, don't be lying. Don't be lying. But anyway, fuck them niggas. So what we talking about tonight? What jobs have you had that you would go back to, and what would it take for you to go back to any job that you lost or left or whatever?
Well, I just talked to my old chef before the job that I had before the job the job that I got terminated from before I got my new job. Well, and I told him if I was to even ever want to come back there, it would have to be for finances and benefits.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more finances, because I took a pay cut to come there and to get the position.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were sitting up here talking about how the job you was working at, the higher up over you got you to help him with firing the girl. That's what happened at my old job.
Mm.
The general manager was upset that the corporate chef appointed me as the new sous chef because my chef needed one. So they appointed me as the new sous chef, and he didn't like the fact that he didn't have a say-so in it. So that was just one part of it. The other part was the food and beverage manager and one of the servers wanted to get me out of the job because at the end of the day, they wanted to get me out of the job so they can bring back another cook they had there, so they can continue with robbing the banquet department.
Mm. Okay.
So they said, fuck me and my family. I need this extra money back. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of shiesty shit out there, man.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, and the thing is people don't know how dangerous that shit is. You know what I mean? When you trying to make ends meet and you fucking with somebody's livelihood, man, and you do it and then you find out why it happened, that can send you to a point of despair and send you to the point of being on the news. Not local news, national news, because that's that postal shit.
They don't call it going postal for nothing.
That's that postal shit, and everything that don't have nothing to do with no post office shit. Sometimes, man, you have to dig deep into your faith to prevent yourself from doing something, from crashing out, bro.
Yeah, I totally understand. Like, getting fired from a job is not a funny thing. Now, I've dealt with a lot of people who basically fired themselves. I mean, you don't come to work, or you can't be found doing work hours and all that kind of shit. It is what it is. You pretty much sealed your own fate. But playing these silly games with people's lives and people's livelihoods, because a lot of people identify their sense of self with what they do. I didn't really realize that until, I was like well into my 30s and 40s. I didn't realize that a job ain't just a job for some people. Like when you call yourself an electrician or a plumber, like that's who you are. I'm thinking like that's just what you do. They like, no, not for some people, not for them. This is them. So it's not a question of the option to just go get another job. They're like, wait a minute. This is like you coming at my whole career. But the person that's terminating you, they looking at it like, well, nah, you was fucking up, so we had to let you go. Now, of course, there can be differences of opinion about what fucking up was.
Right.
But if it was progressive discipline, it is what it is. It's when it's not progressive discipline that makes things a lot more cloudy, way more questionable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, it's just, but nonetheless, I don't care how much you hate your job. You don't want nobody to tell you you can't do it no more.
It's not even a fact. You don't. If you leave your job, you want to leave the job on your terms, not on the terms of somebody else doing it because they're narcissistic ways, or they feel as though they want to make an example out of you. You know what I mean? You want to leave on terms that if I leave, I want to be able to say I left because this is what I wanted to do. I found another position that was beneficial to me. You know what I mean?
But let me ask you this though. What about the people who stay on jobs? Like they stay on jobs that they really don't really like the working conditions. But you know, like I was saying earlier, really just staying on the job because of the social atmosphere. They form relationships on that job. They know people on the job. They know the job. You know what I mean? So they pretty much already mailed in whatever opportunities are for advancement might befall the job, but you know, they still staying there. So they can't even see the blessing in disguise. Like going somewhere else where you can get paid more up front than you ever would have gotten paid even if you stayed with this job another 10 more years. They can't see it because it's just like being in a relationship that you don't want to leave. Like, yo, you just gonna leave me out here? Like, yo, we've been done for, we've been together and done for years. Nah, no, we wasn't. Well, yes, we were. Well, I mean, but we was together though. So, you know what I mean? So, yeah, this shit can, it hits people differently. It hits people differently. So, you know, just like you can't stop somebody from breaking up with you, if they want to be broken up with you, you can't stop a job from cutting you off if they want to get rid of you. Nothing you can do.
Mm-hmm. And when you was talking about the automated messages, do you realize you don't know how many times I wanted to go through the phone and choke the shit out that automated message?
You think they don't know that?
Say that again.
I said, you think they don't know that? They don't give a fuck.
And especially when they ask you the question, please put in your social security number. Then you put it in, and then they say, please put in your social security number. And you put it in again, and they say, please hold for 1 second. Put your social security number and press 1. Like this bitch, I'm gonna kill this bitch.
The part I hate the most is when they tell you, may we send a text message to your phone for a code. And you're like, no, fuck that shit. And they be like, all right, we sent the message. They don't even fuck that no shit. They be like, we sent the message to your phone. Please give us the link to your phone. Please click that link and we'll take it from there. You like, these yeah.
You get wound up so much that by the time you get to a human, you be ready to curse them the fuck out.
Yeah. But actually, sometimes you might be too tired. See, the thing is, here's the part I didn't finish. It might take you 10 or 15 minutes to get to a human being. And then you're going to be on the phone with that fucking human being for an hour. An hour. Trying to straighten out which seems like could have been straightened out within a few minutes. But they're going to have you.
Could have been straightened out within the 15 minutes it took you to get to that person.
And I don't give a fuck whether it's Amazon, Verizon, Xfinity, T-Mobile. It's all the same. The process is all the same. You gonna talk to this computer, this AI generated voice until we've exhausted all other options. It's almost like you got to know how to play the game. You have to know exactly what to say in order to get a human being on the phone as fast as possible. You doing all this trial and error.
Yeah. But I mean, the jobs, like you said, the person that you were just talking about that's embedded into the job, either they embedded into it because they love it, or they embedded in it because it's their norm. Because I think everybody that's in the job that they're in right now are pretty much. I feel like you're being pimped. You're a prostitute, because you're going to always go to the highest where the highest money is at. Right? If you're making $25 here, and that other job say I give you an extra $3, where you think you're gonna go? That extra $3, now you're at 28.
You look at that as being pimped?
Yeah, I do.
Shit, it sounds like business to me.
Well, business. Well, pimping is business too.
but the thing is, hoes don't get paid.
But that do.
Yeah, well,
so the business part is being pimped out, because when you go from one job to another, you pretty much putting yourself out there like that. You leaving one job and going to another. That's always how I looked at an analogy. You know what I mean?
No, all I'm saying is hoes don't get paid. They give almost 100% of the money to daddy, and he distributes it the way he sees fit. So at least at a job, you decide if you want to work there or not. Like, I've had to tell a lot of employees, I'm like, ain't nobody put a gun in your head to make you work here. Ain't nobody do that. You made the choice. You chose us. We didn't come looking for you. You filled out an application. You put in a resume. You came to an interview. When HR didn't get back to you fast enough, or the recruiter, you called, asked what was going on. You did all of this shit to work here. Yet when you get here, then you want to make all the fucking rules. Where they do that? I'm like, yo, it don't work that way. You know how many employees I've had to tell, yo, you need to grow the fuck up. Because you think this is a game. When you came here, each and every last one of y'all who came here, each and every last one of y'all who filled out an application, y'all done forgot the reason that y'all filled it out. You needed the job. You needed it. You was broke. You was hungry. You was needy. You had bills piling up and somebody getting at you like, yo, you better do something about it. You had responsibilities. That's what you got this job for. When you got here, now it's all about this rebellion shit. What the job can't do, what they can't say, how they can't act. You ain't had none of that shit in your mind. Now it's all about, now instead of listening to your managers and your supervisors, you listening to your coworkers. And they in the same boat as you. A bunch of dickheads. I've given it to them straight. I said, you listen to everybody that's on your pay grade. Like they gonna have, like they have the power to advance you. All of y'all motherfuckers ain't doing nothing but staying right here on your way to going down here. Cause eventually all of y'all gonna be gone. And as y'all start getting picked off one by one, you gonna be watching them like lambs, sheep, pigs, and cows on their way to slaughter. You just saw the motherfucker in front of you get his head cut off. You ain't feeling no anxiety? You know you are. You just want to try to find a way to get out of that line. But in the meantime, oh no, they can't do this. They can't do that. I'll sue. I'll do this, that, and the third. You wasn't doing none of it. You wasn't thinking about none of that. You wasn't thinking about all of these people that you protected and that's protecting you. You wasn't thinking about none of that shit before you like when you was filling out applications and when you was going on interviews. You was hoping to God that they was gonna call you back. Now you're arrogant. You done forgot where you came from. You a bad employee and you a bad friend. Cause you the type of friend that forget everything that somebody did for you when you start getting yours.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. You know, I mean, it is what it is. I've had that heart to heart. But you gotta.
But look, bro, when I got at that job at the Sheraton Suites, it was people that was there maybe 3-4 years before I even got there. And then it was this young girl there, right? She was she was a server. So when I got the position and everything, I came in there and hit the floor running. Because when I first met the chef, he was like, "Bro, if you're the cook, if you're the chef that I think I'm gonna need, I'm going to promote you as soon as possible because I need one." So I came in there and showed them what I can do, this, that, and the other, and all this. I told them, "Look, you can stay in the office all as long as you want. Just let me do what I got to do. If I need you, I call you. But my job is to keep you out this kitchen." You know, and I stood by that. I 10 toes down, I stood on that. So, you know, when I got the position, this little young girl, you know, I call her Horietta because she was knocking off some of the guys in the kitchen that I found out about. So let's just call the girl Horietta. So Horietta was like, you know, I said, so I'm in the kitchen, I'm working, I'm trying to prep up this line again because the cook that I had, the breakfast cook, this person didn't prep up the breakfast line again. So she said, you know, people in the kitchen feel like you're a snitch, you're a rat. you're a snitch, a rat. Matter of fact, you an HM. You know what an HM is, right?
Yeah.
I said, can I ask you something? I said, is this the streets in here? I said, first of all, this can't be the streets. I said, are y'all just like narcos? Y'all, you know, bringing bricks in here and, you know, flipping cheese and doing everything possible to make sure. Because if that's that type of environment, then maybe I might shut the fuck up. And I said, this is a place of business. I said, before I came here, there was people here 3-4 years ahead of me that could have got to the same position I got. They choose not to show love to what they wanted to do or love what they was doing. I love what I do for a living. So you're calling me out my name and people around here think I'm that because of my work ethic, my inherited work ethic that I got from my family, my grandfather and from people I've worked with, my grandfather, my mom, and everybody else. So my work ethic, I should fuck it up because of how y'all feel. No, the fuck I'm not. No, the fuck I'm not.
Listen.
I said,
yep.
This is a place of business.
Man.
And you know what happened to her? You know what she was doing?
What?
So she go to the table, and if these people got a coupon, a free breakfast coupon, right? They'll get the food for free, but she has to charge them for the beverages. She will overcharge them. She's got the company. She got the hotel for $15,000, son. and she quit before they can get you.
Yeah.
But I'm not HM.
Well, did she lose her job?
She quit before they can catch her.
Oh, she quit. Okay,
because
that's what you're saying. All right.
Yeah, they brought another worker in, and she showed him how to do the same thing.
Okay. So, needless to say, she probably won't try to get that job back. But then again, you never know. You never know. I've seen some people do some slime ball, not well thought out shit and try to come back to the same job. This one, I've had a lot of people hit my phone and ask, yo, man, can you get me back in? Or do you, I know you know people from other jobs. You think you could, you could get me in with them, or, would you give me a reference? I'll give you a reference. I don't give a fuck. I mean, like, I ain't, I'll give you a reference. I'll do that.
But you ain't coming back,
I mean, there's no way you can. If you get fired if I fired you, or if the company fired you, how am I look speaking up for you? Like, yo, can we hire such and such back? Like they didn't get fired for a good reason. Like, do you remember all the absences, latenesses? You remember all of the being out of your assigned work area, all the unauthorized breaks? Do you remember this? How would I look? Now, what I will do is try my best to get you to keep the job while you have them. While you have it, I mean. But I can't do nothing for you after you gone. You done played yourself. So, but a lot of cats have called me. You know what I mean? Because they didn't wake up until they badge ain't work. They ain't wake up until they couldn't get in the parking lot. They ain't wake up until security at the front, like, no, not in the house of Mutombo. It is what it is. Like, why would I hire you back so you can finish us off? Like, one thing I try to impress upon cats. If I'm looking out for you as a manager, when I tell you, you taking the ball out of my hands. Because at my level, I can look out. But the shit that you doing is going to catch the attention of people who are higher than me, and they're going to be looking at me. And you think I'm going to protect you when you have fucked me over with the shit that you doing? Because I'm supposed to either know about it, or if I know about it, do something about it, and I haven't. So now you making me look like I'm not doing my job. You think I'm gonna let that happen? If so, I know a fat man in a red and white suit that come around in the wintertime, you know what I mean? Somewhere around Jesus' birthday, dropping off all kinds of toys. If you believe that I'm gonna do that for you, I can introduce you to him, and he got something for you. So yeah, man, the shit is really ridiculous. But as far as what it would take for me to go back to certain jobs, most jobs I've left me with such a bad taste in my mouth. Mm-hmm. Even if I left, you know what I mean? Because most of them I've made the decision like, all right, man, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? Like, but what it would take to get me back, there would probably have to be all new leadership. Because if I left, the leadership that was there was unacceptable. So the only way I would go back is if y'all got y'all shit together. Now, what are the chances? So yeah, but that's me.
Yeah, I mean, and then I worked at the Comcast Center at 17th and Gas. I was working in their cafeteria, and it's when you in the business that I'm in the culinary business, in the culinary industry that I'm in, when you come in the door and you don't have all the knowledge and the wisdom that you're supposed to have, haven't been taught certain things in the kitchen, chefs love that because they feel like, number one, they can undercut you in pay, and number two, you have to follow what they're teaching you.
Mm-hmm.
When you come in here with knowledge and have an understanding of how to do this, and you know everything about surf safe, and you know everything about this, and you know everything about that, right? Their biggest, the fear of that, of you knowing this stuff. Now they feel like there's a fear. They're fearing that you're a threat to their position, and that's what happened at Comcast. You know, this chef wanted me out so badly that he went to one of the co-workers that I was training that was working with me every day, and said that when I was in a meeting, right, that when I was in a meeting for a write-up that I shouldn't have been getting, right, that that I said that I brought up. I said that he didn't know what he was doing and that he should have been fired. I came in after the week that I came in at Monday. I was like, "What's going on, Rob?" He was like, "Don't say nothing to fuck to me." I'm like, "What?" I said, "Yo, what's going on?" Well, I heard, the chef told me you was in a meeting talking bad about me. You sitting around here telling people about motherfuckers in here and shit, fucking snitches and rats. You the biggest fucking rat in here. I said, "Yo, I would never talk bad about you." I said, "I'm the one training you." I said, "Matter of fact, in the meeting, I was patting you on the back, telling them how good of a worker you are." Whatever. I walked past the door and heard you. How you walk? I said, "Yo, how you walk past the door and heard me?" When I was getting ready to leave and I came down to get my knives, you seen me and you said you didn't know where I was at. So he kept talking and talking, and he was like, "Man, shut the fuck up, get the fuck out." Talking this way to him. I said, "Listen, Rob, and like I told you, I'm a mild-mannered person, son. But when you keep disrespecting me," and he was an amputee, but he had a prosthetic leg. I said, "Look, man, I've been real nice to you. I treat you like a family. You know personal things about what I'm going through. I know personal things about what you're going through." I said, "I look at you as family, but I'm gonna put it to you like this, right? What you gonna do if you got so much shit on your back and you got so much you gotta say on your chest, across the street from here in a little block, we can go over there after work. And I'm gonna take your prosthetic foot and put it right up your ass. Don't stop fucking disrespecting me and talking to me like I'm a bitch. I told you I ain't have nothing to do with whatever the fuck this man said. I said I would never disrespect you. I got a lot of respect for you. You see, but while you talking to me like this, I said what he did was he's pushing you to come at me so I can get terminated or we can both get fired." Turned around and I got fired because they said I threatened them. I said, "Yes, I threatened them because I felt threatened." Maybe if you heard how he was talking to me, you would have an understanding of why I felt threatened. I said, "I'm not from the suburbs. I'm not from nowhere y'all grew up at. I'm from the streets. I grew up in the street areas. I'm from the hood, as y'all call it. I'm one of y'all homies. I'm not one of y'all friends." So at the end of the day, they wound up terminating me, and he still had his job.
Yeah. And
you see, so that's the shit. That's the shit that's bothersome to me. And then much down the line, the chef got fired because they caught wind of how he did me and what he did to other people. But you think they'll call me back and say, "You know what, Troy, maybe we was wrong"? No.
so in a situation like that, if you were ever to get asked to come back to that job, what would have to happen in order for you to go back?
Well, for me to go back to a job like that, they would have to terminate Rob, and they would have to give me at least $6 in a position. I would have to be given a position for me to go back there.
$6.
No longer there
wait,
anymore.
$6 or what?
Add that to the money. If I'm getting, I want the position, but I don't want no. I want to be an hourly worker still with the position.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. You get paid more money.
Yeah, I know why.
Yeah, you know that. So I would have to be an hourly worker, put that $6 on top of that 24, or put that $6. No, put that $6 on top of that 23, and give me the position that y'all gonna give me.
So you saying
And get rid of
29,
Rob. And get rid
29,
of Rob.
29 an hour?
Yep,
Okay. Okay.
they can pay it.
And
'Cause, I mean,
but
honestly,
most
if I was
importantly,
making-
Rob would have to
if I
go,
was
right?
making- Huh? Say that again.
Most importantly, though, the boy would have to go. The boy Rob, right?
Yes, that's the most important thing. Rob would have to go.
Hmm.
Because one thing, like I always say, a person, you can't start a fire, and then when I add to the fire, I'm the one that's getting hurt. That's in a relationship. That's in a work environment. You can't start the fire. You can't punch me in my face, and then when I whoop your ass, I'm the one that's getting ready to go to jail because I whooped your ass the worst.
Have you ever worked at at the same place twice?
I never worked. You know what? That's a good question. I never worked at the same job twice. I worked for the same chef twice.
Okay.
I worked for the same chef twice. Yeah, it was a chef. I worked with this chef at the Logan Hotel, and then when I left the Logan, right, and it's the same shit. People always say, "Damn, Troy, you move around from job to job." Son, I don't want to move from job to job. I was working at the Logan, and I was the cafeteria cook, where it wound up being pretty much the cafeteria chef. And they was doing cooking Stouffer's and shit out of boxes. I told the chef, I don't do that. I do nothing but I do scratch cooking. So I was giving him my shopping list so he can order everything I wanted. And when he did all that, the cafeteria came up more, and people loved the food that I was cooking, and so the sous chef from Banquets hated me. He didn't like me. He didn't like me because one time I had went to the bakery to use their stove, and his little girlfriend that he was dealing with. So one of the girls said, "Troy, a nice looking guy." She said, "He's okay. He's okay. He okay. He ain't that nice looking." And this the girl that he was dealing with. I said, "Well, you beautiful too, sweetheart." I said, from the neck down. And she got pissed off. And I guess she went and told him. So it put a bad taste in his mouth towards me. So he did everything. He kept, I had to have a meet with HR one time. And because he said some things out his mouth to me, we had a big meeting. And then last time we had a meeting, I said, "See this young man?" I said, "This young man is still being disrespectful." Young man, he said, "You ain't nothing but a big guy. You ain't nothing but a big guy with breasts." I said, "I don't have no breasts." I said, "But let's go outside and remember I said that to you. I said, let's go outside and let's discuss this like men."
Mm-hmm.
And you said you shouldn't. And I said they took that as a threat.
Yeah.
And they terminated me and kept him in. Remember you told me that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened at the Logan. So, people will say things. I just don't think that you say a person should start a fire. And if you're authority, if you're a person if you're in a position where you're a supervisor or you're my boss, there's no way in the world you should be talking like that to me. Period. That's number one. But his boss was right in front of him when he said that. So he sat back and condoned that, and he okayed it when he went to HR and said, "Well, yeah, Troy did say that." He didn't say what he said though. So when I needed another job after I left the Comcast Center, I got hired at the W Hotel, and he was the chef there, not the one that said what he said, but my boss at the Logan Hotel. So he hired me there.
Okay. All right. So
no, I wouldn't. I would love to go back to the Comcast Center, and I would love to go back to the Sheraton Suites.
Okay. Yeah, I thought about it like, would I go back to any of the jobs that I left? And nah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even for a lot more money. Well, it depends. It depends. Like, but some shit would have to whatever was the last straw for me working there, like the thing that made me go, that would have to be taken care of from my perspective. You know what I mean? From my perspective. And a lot of times companies and people who work for companies don't really like to admit fault. I don't know what it is about that, but maybe they think they look at fault like as a potential for liability. But they don't like to be wrong. They don't like to be wrong, and they don't like to really issue apologies. Now, this one place,
the words that we was talking about earlier is accountability. They don't want to assume that.
Yeah. Well, accountability, I guess it can work the same way. What I was thinking was accountability is more than just acknowledging what was done wrong. Accountability is taking responsibility for whatever you've done wrong, which means you have to do something about it. So a lot of companies don't like to acknowledge that you may have been right about something. I don't know how that affects their bottom line, but it seems to be a practice. But there was, and it depends on what company you work for. I worked for this one company, and it was like a single owner of the company, and he fired me for some fuck shit. And it was, from what I understand, he fired me to protect the contract that he had, which I can understand. Now, having to get rid of me in order to keep the contract seems a little like something ain't right about that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But so he fired me, and it wouldn't have been so bad because I understand how business is run. I wouldn't have took it so personally. You know, if you'd have told me, well, like, you know, the supervisor got pulled around here and he doesn't appreciate you for some reason. So, you know, soon as I get something, because he had other places where he could have placed me. You know what I mean? And I asked him about that, like, well, you have other accounts. Can't you just move me over there? Unless there's another reason why you're letting me go. And he was like, well, yeah, if I don't have anything right now. I know he's lying. You know what I mean? I know he's lying. I don't have anything right now, but
You think it was a color thing?
No. Not at all. Not at all. He wasn't prejudiced in that way. He hired plenty of black people. But a couple of months after that, let's see, that was in January 2018, and at the end of April, they was calling me trying to get me to manage at this other account that they just got. And I was like, they was like, you know, you can do whatever time you want. You can basically get there when you want. You can leave when you want. You can do what, you know, you'll be running this account. And I was like, motherfucker, you gave me your whole ass to kiss when you let me go just a couple of months ago. You know what I mean? And I was still feeling some kind of way about it. And yeah, so he was, you know, he's trying to give out all these perks and yeah, this will be great. And that shit was all the way out in Downingtown. And I was like, nah, I'm not willing to travel for you again. So I ain't say shit. I said, listen, I'm gonna call you tomorrow and see what we can do. I ain't never called him again in my fucking life. Fuck out of here. You know what I mean? You gonna fire me on some bullshit?
Well, son, I can go back, and there's some racist shit right here. And me and this guy, we developed a hell of a bond. Italian guy. working at this catering company right down there, right off of Front and Snyder.
Okay.
And say that again.
I said okay.
And as I'm working there, we cool. Me and the chef developed this bond. You know, birthday came. I had bought him a bottle of Quavo, Jose Quavo. You know, he'd look out for me. He throw me a couple extra dollars if I came in. He'll throw me 4 or 5 extra hours on my check and everything. Or I'll stay around and help him with doing tasting for people. Or I would just do the tasting myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I turned the phone back around, and when me and him was talking one time, I told him the one thing I can't stand is racism or that N-word.
Mm-hmm.
I told him that. I said, I really fucked up a lot of white people calling me a nigga. I don't tolerate it. I don't play it. There's been a lot of people getting fucked up. I don't even think they use the consonant N no more after I fucked them up. You know what I mean? If they say never, they say ever. They don't say shit. They don't use the letter N no more. So he was laughing and stuff. So New Year's Eve came. I'm in the kitchen working. So the server comes in because they setting up the banquet area because we had a wedding to do. So I turned back around and one of his friends coming to pick a platter up because he had to do some New Year's Eve platters.
Mm-hmm.
So the server had dropped the eggplant. When she dropped it, I worked right at the table as you come in the door. So when he picked it up, he was rubbing it, talking about poor little Mulian. Poor little Mulian.
You gotta be kidding me.
Son, right in front of my face, bro. And when he looked up, he looked at me as if he was in shock. And I'm looking at him like, do this motherfucker realize that don't you realize I've looked at Eddie Murphy wrong? Don't you realize I understand what Mulian is? So I turned the fuck back around, right? And I turned back around and I went to the chef. I said, listen, the next time I hear a racial slur in this kitchen coming from any of your friends or anybody, I'm gonna knock them the fuck out. I'm telling you that now. So be warned. I told you I didn't like the N-word and I don't like no racist shit. So he said, what happened? I told him what happened. He came back to me and told me that that's not what happened. I said, so you calling me a liar? I said, as tight as me and you are, you honestly think that I would come to you with this bullshit? So one thing led to another. I stopped talking to him. I just went and did my job and did this and did that. I turned the fuck back around. He terminated me. And you know what I did? I went to the EEOC. And when the EEOC didn't pick it up, I went and got me a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I hit him for $12,000. So yeah. And that's one job I would never go back to. Because at the end of the day, if I take a liking to you, or we tight and we cool and we this and we that, you know what I mean? And even though you're my and I hate to use the term boss, but you're my chef.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm explaining to you that I don't tolerate disrespect or I don't like racism, I would never use a racial slur that disrespects your ethnicity, and I appreciate if you don't do the same. So when that shit happened, and you allowed it to happen, okay, now let me hit that pocket then.
Mm-hmm.
Let me hit the pocket.
They understand that.
Yeah, they understand when you hit that pocket. So after that, I was comfortable with doing that. But these, when you work for these companies in the culinary industry, I don't know if it's like that in every workplace, but since I've been in culinary, these damn the people that run the kitchen, or the people that that's over top of you, they feel as though they can just disrespect you or get other people to disrespect you to get you to the point where you got to go on the defense. And at some point, sometimes you shouldn't do that
Yeah.
because you're going to get that person hurt or you're going to get hurt. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't put people in harm's way like that. Because when I got terminated from the Comcast Center, I went up to that job, I stood outside that job a couple times, son, and I bumped into Rob. And I said,
okay.
And when I seen him, I'm like, you still want to go to the little block? I said, because at the end of the day, I told you what this asshole was doing. And you didn't listen. So now you still got your job and I ain't got my job. This motherfucker, I told the boy to go shred some lettuce. Right? If I ask you to go shred lettuce, son, what you gonna do? You gonna get a knife, right? Or if you got a fucking slicer, you gonna do it on a slicer, right?
Yeah.
This motherfucker got a box grader.
What?
This motherfucker, I pulled him to the side. I said, yo, don't you never in your fucking life do that in front of these people. You get ready to grade lettuce. like cheese. I said, oh my God.
Grade lettuce.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You know what the box grader is?
I do. I definitely do.
Because you're a cook. You cook at home.
Shit. Even if I didn't, I seen it used. My mom was a cheese grating something.
I said, what you getting ready to do? He said, I'm getting ready to get your lettuce ready for tacos. I said, with what? He said, just right here, the box grader. I just looked at him like,
how you love that? That shit wild.
You listen to that shit. You listen to him talk about shit. I talked about you.
That shit is wild. But these are the kind of things that you run into when you're dealing with jobs, and if you leave the job or if you lose the job, it can feel very personal. It can feel very personal. You know, working at a job with that you don't even like and you're just doing it for the money, that will come out in the way that you handle your business, or whether you complete assignments, or whether you lead people in the right direction or whatever, whether you are concerned or consumed with success versus just being out here scrambling and you know, being free and it's a crazy thing when somebody wants you to return to a job that you had before.
Especially if they did you grimy. Like the person that fired you and then called you months down the line asking you to go manage a facility in Doylestown. What the fuck?
That was a unique situation. Cause I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna give you a chance to fuck me again. Like, we're not gonna do that again. Like, I asked you for another opportunity after this one was taken away from me, and you told me no. And so I asked him. I said, well, why now? Well, you know, I didn't want to fire you before. I'm like, that ain't what you said. You know what I mean? That wasn't the energy that you was giving me. So I ain't really have a lot to say to him, because I was feeling some kind of way, like crazy. Like, yo, this shit ain't fair. I didn't do nothing wrong on that job.
And that's the part that just fucks with you. That you didn't do nothing wrong at the job.
No, the thing that fucked me up at this job was the fact that there was no way I was going to be able to be right on the job. You know, like when you experience subtle but assertive racism, it gives you a feeling that you don't forget. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing when motherfuckers will, you know, scream out nigga and be honest about whether they feel like black or white or Latino or Asian or is on equal intelligent plane, right? But
Right.
but when they are amongst just themselves, certain people have nothing but negative things to say about you and everybody else.
Right.
So
And you don't really have to use the racial slur to get your point across. There's other ways of doing it by getting your point across.
there are. And
Yes.
but you chose what you thought was the most effective. So there's no way I would have ever gone back to that situation. And it wasn't because of pride and ego, but then again it was. But you're not going to do me like that. You know what I mean? Like you got to be kidding me. But people will try you, and people will like Jalen Hurts said, let the main thing be the main thing, but they forgot the main thing.
Right.
They really, really forgot the main thing. I mean, the main thing. And I mean, it's really a sad state of affairs that it got to come down to that. But going back to a job that you had before is almost like going back to a best friend you lost, going back to a lover that was, where things didn't work out. There's a lot to it. It's not just.
It depends on how you carry it mentally. Because going back to that environment, it can be a gift and a curse. You're going back to the same environment especially if it didn't change or if it got worse.
Some people just get so indoctrinated into a job or a profession that they don't care. They just figure that's just the way things are. Or that's just the way the culture is. It's almost like somebody bad mouthing your wife or your woman. And you ain't saying nothing. It weighs on you different. But yeah, just like a person can love and respect an abusive lover, they'll do the same thing in situations like having a car. They'll do the same things. So you have to really, really make a decision about whether you want to go back to the same job again. You really have to make a decision about that, because I've known people who've done it and the second time around wasn't as fulfilling. Because when you start,
it's not like going back to a second job. It ain't like going back to that relationship or fixing your marriage or going back to that old relationship. It ain't like Nelly and Ashante turning the corner. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Big difference. Big difference. You know what I'm saying? When you go back to that job, right? Like I talked to my chef from the Sheraton Suites, and he told me how bad it is right now. When I was there, I had got the scores up, and the chef told me, he was like, yo, man, you're doing a tremendous job. The nighttime scores are up from in the 40s up to the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
He said, people that come to the hotel can't wait to see you or meet and greet you. There's people that come here regularly, that word, that when they come, they ask for you, Troy.
Yeah.
And they was doing putting letters in that front desk about me. So the general manager really didn't like it, but since he didn't appoint me as the new sous chef, he felt as though I was getting praise without him being on board with it. So, me going back, as bad as it is right now, me going back there, I would have to reassess that. Right? That's why I said you would have to give me more money and more benefits. It would have to be something different, because I'm not dealing with the bullshit that I was dealt with before, the disrespectfulness from the cook that cursed me out and threatened me. That
Yeah.
y'all still got there. All that shit around. No, I can't do that.
Yeah,
You know.
man. When at the very least, more than one person should have got the axe,
Yeah.
and you got to deal with the person who got you the axe is still there. Like, nah, I don't see how this is.
You have to. You know. Because when my favorite, the same thing I say to my kids is the same thing I say to people that I'm supervising. Please don't allow me to do that. Please don't make me do that something. Don't make me do what I really don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
If I pull you, if I'm asking to speak to you in the office, there's a respect level. I know if I talk to you in front of your peers, that if I say what I want to say is a disrespect, you can come back on the defense in an ignorant way. So if I talk to you in the office and I talk to you as a man, I'm going to show you that respect in the office.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't come in the office and you blatantly disrespect me out in the kitchen, all right, let me just get the paperwork ready.
Yeah.
Just write up together, you sign off on it, and that's it. Because I can only go about it in a professional manner.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you feel as though you want to be a street person or a hood person, then after work, that's what, if you try to seek me out, then I got to go on the defense to defend myself.
Right.
But I'm not seeking you out because I tried the respect level at work. If I'm talking to you and I'm telling you, please don't make me do what I don't really want to do, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And you calling me pussies and bitches and motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's wild.
You shouldn't even you shouldn't even get the job no more.
I know, right? There was a time when you didn't say certain things at work. Well, those days seem long gone, boy. That's crazy.
It's like it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't terminate him, but it was a guy, it was a guy at this job, shared this week. This bull would come in the job high off of perks.
Mm.
In mid-conversation, he would nod in front of you. One time he nodded in front of the dish room.
Mm.
And the manager seen it. Not my chef. The restaurant manager seen it, didn't say shit. So this one day he came in, he nodded on the line. Then he found a place where he can go take a nap.
Wow.
They found him. The general manager found him, HR found him, the chef found him. They sent him home. They fired him.
Uh-huh.
I said, oh, so you can fire the drug addict, but you can't fire the person that threatened me. That's the way it don't fucking sense.
It don't.
It don't, because if you fire the drug addict, he did something to himself. But the person that threatened me, now he don't know what I'm going to do, so you don't know what he got on him to protect himself.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know what I got on me to protect myself. So now I got to walk around on pins and needles and have my head on a swivel like I'm on a football field.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what the jobs do. They put your jobs that you want to go back to, you have to be aware of. It could be worse. It could be worse than when you left it. You might have left it from a scale of 1 to 10. When you left, you might have left it at an 8 or 9. You go back, that shit. The reason why they letting you come back is because that shit is at a 6 now.
I've seen that happen. Real shit. Yeah. I've seen people companies hire people back because they knew that they got let go unjustifiably. And
but they also knew he was an asset, that he was the one that was keeping things afloat.
I was getting to that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My fault for cutting you off.
Because like I said, these companies only hire you for you to make the money. There's no other motivation. It's definitely a money move and a money factor. So, and yeah, when you go back to a job that you worked at before, you're probably going to have a list of demands. Sometimes it's just better to keep it moving, man. Just go ahead, find another job, be happy with that job, try to basically get things the way you want them. If you moved into a new crib and you was about to furnish the crib and somebody keep telling you what you should do with your house instead of you deciding what you're going to do, with the house. So that could be a tough situation. It can be a tough situation. But going back to a job is like going back to a lover. The real reason that y'all broke up is going to manifest itself quickly. Because you forget about what you hated about a person when you really love a person and want to get back with them. So you don't be looking at them with a critical eye. But what ends up happening is that, yeah, sometimes you let the good players get away, or you discipline them too much. But the ones that are really slimy and don't give a fuck and don't even have nothing good to say about you, you half-ass treating them like shit. So this is a problem. But yeah, going back to a job that you had before, there has to be something.
You said.
Because, man, just the thought of it. At one of my jobs, when they gave you an exit interview when you leave the job. You know what I'm saying? So they basically ask you about the reasons that you're quitting and all this kind of stuff. It's a whole interview and a questionnaire, and they, write things down that you may have said and all that shit. It's crazy. But with all that being said, if the culture hasn't changed, if the leadership hasn't changed, then nothing has changed. You know what I mean? Nothing has changed because y'all left me out there on an island, and now you want me to sign up to pay for that same island. Yeah, well, good luck with that. You know what I mean? And sometimes
that same island that they want you to sign up and pay for got a shitload of trash now and rats and it's rat infested. You got to pick all that shit back up.
When it comes to these jobs and the decision of whether to keep it pushing or to go back to these jobs, remember, you're not the same you're not the same person with these jobs as you were when you got the job.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're learning, you're growing, you're experiencing things. Not all positive, maybe not all negative. But, going back to a job that you've worked at before, it may take you a lot of putting your pride to the side. Oh, and if you're not willing to do that, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You know how some things can work for a day or two, maybe even a month. And then eventually it's like, You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, yeah, this ain't a good look. And you will get reminded. So, with that being said, let me see. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend going back, and I note that even for the money, because like I said, the situation that I gave you, that scenario, he was offering me more money, But no, he said the same salary I was getting. I was like, man, you ain't even making this shit palatable. You know what I mean? As far as I gotta drive in order to get there, that shit is ridiculous. Like, you know, he was a flea.
I mean, you considering you got to go all the way to Doylestown.
It was
you giving me small perks. That's like me having to go all the way to Doylestown and you give me a $5 gift card to the fucking Wawa to get a cup of coffee and a snack.
Right. So that gift card, depending on how much money, is a see you when I see you gift. You know what I mean?
Look, she came in and said from the door, he didn't even say hi. He just said, I don't know, I wouldn't go back.
Hey, I get it.
He just came from the door.
I get it. Sometimes the question answers itself. Like I said, man, you know, you leave a job, you might be really salty about it. Like I said, in my exit interview, they asked me all of this stuff or whatever. I was like, yo, you know, the cats who work here are the ones that's making it hard to work here.
But it's just the fucked up part is that it's not. It's always been the people over top of me that made it hard for me because they dictate to the other workers on how to try to manipulate certain situations that made it difficult for me. You know?
Yeah.
And there's always, at majority of the jobs I worked at, it's been even at Shriners before I injured myself. Right. Yeah. And you know, when like this chef, the chef, and I've been knowing him I knew him 30 years ago. I worked with him. Mm-hmm. But the difference is that I worked hard to hone my craft and become a better chef because with the love and the passion I got for it. You took it on as just getting money. You took it on as, let me just learn Marriott wisdom. Let me order cans of this. And, well, if you use canned soup, you don't have to season it. Who the fuck told you that?
Yeah. You talking about that salty ass Campbell's chicken noodle soup?
Yeah.
From back in the day and
even
today.
With that, it's called condensed soup for a reason. Because when you put it in a pot, you got to add a little water to it because it is too salty.
You got to put some cut on it. Got to put some cut on it, right, Troy? Some cut.
Huh?
I said you got to put some cut on it. You got to step on it. You got to step on it. Look.
You got to take it. You got to change it from Blue Magic.
You got to step on that shit, man. You can't just man.
The reason why they make it somewhat salty like that is it's a preservative to preserve it.
Right.
You're not just making it salty to make it salty. It's a preservative. So when you're doing it, you gotta add the salt to it. But you also remember, even if you do a soup from scratch, like if I make a soup from scratch, right, and after I make that soup and I put it on a hot bain-marie, right, on a line, right, and I put it on the line so it can sit there. So when people want soup, I gotta scoop it out. You do know that the water that I made that soup with is going to evaporate. Mm-hmm. So it's going to become salty. So you got to have water to it. So don't come to me as if I don't know what's going. Don't say, well, the soup is too salty. Well, you got to have water to it because you know it's reducing down. The water is reducing down from inside the soup because it's sitting on a table where the soup is still slowly cooking. If you put a pot of water, it's just like turning a pot of water on to a high flame and then turn it to a low flame and walk away.
Uh-huh.
For about 3-4 hours. By the time you come back 4 hours later, you better hope your pot ain't burnt.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's going to evaporate. So, I mean, if you're a chef and you don't know this, and you've been doing this for 30 years, how? How you don't know this? How you don't? So when you don't know that type of shit, what you gonna do? When you fucked up, you gonna try to make the other person look like he fucked up because that person is a threat to your position now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problems I've had with kitchens. That's the problem I've had with chefs.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. If I know my shit, I know my shit. I've been done homework, and they ask me. They say, "Well, Troy, did you go to school?" No, God gave me a gift.
Right.
He gave me a gift, and I worked with it. God, He gave you a gift, and you worked with it. He gave us both a gift with comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how hard it is to make a person laugh? You know that.
Under certain
I know that.
circumstances, yeah.
But people that never done comedy think, "Oh, that shit easy. I can do that."
Shit. Good luck with that.
Bro, so yeah. Jason said, "Uncut to the gut."
Uncut to that Campbell's strong, boy. You ever see?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you saw the big can, the big giant can of
And that's the ones he was getting.
man. Shit.
Those are the ones he was getting. The big giant cans of cream of mushroom soup.
Oh God. Okay.
So
Wow.
well, when you make it, Troy. So when I made it from scratch, he was like, you got when you make cream of mushroom soup, you gotta leave bits and parts of the mushroom pieces in there.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, you don't. That's why it's called cream of mushroom. You gotta cream it out. You gotta smooth it out.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept talking. I said, and also you do know if this was a French restaurant, you would have to strain off that soup just so you won't have the gritty part in there. And then when you make the soup, you would have to hit it with butter and just give it to him like that with the broth, the mushroom broth with the butter as the thickener. That's how much I know my shit. Cause let me tell you why, son. Cause I'm the fucking shit when it comes to this culinary shit, bro.
Oh, okay. I bet that's what's up.
I love it, man. So when I go these jobs, there's certain jobs I will go back to. I will go back to the Sheridan Suite just because the chef there, me and him had a great rapport and he respected my skills. I will go back to the Comcast Center. And one thing I like about the Comcast Center, when the Comcast Center is doing great, they'll give you gift cards.
Mm-hmm.
I had got a $300 gift card and a $500 gift card.
Yeah, that's a hell of a gift card.
That's a gift card for your ass.
Right? These are good look gift cards.
But yeah, you know what I mean? And this was the $500 one came when everybody was back to work. This was right after after COVID. So people were still wearing masks and stuff and shit like that. So yeah, I mean, them gift cards come in handy, bro. You know, then they would give out, since it was Comcast, they would have, the movie premieres coming up. They would give out free tickets. They would give out T-shirts and shit for the movie premieres and shit. So it was a nice area to work in. I had motherfuckers coming up to me at work. I had my section so hyped and so fun. This Indian guy came down to me and said, "Sure, man, I just came to give you a handshake and a hug, man, because." He said, because I was having a stressful day and I knew you could be able to put a smile on my face.
Mm-hmm.
He said that shit in front of my boss, so I knew it was getting ready to be some problems. I do it, man. But that's the thing about it. You can't just, having a job is not just having a job. You got to have a personality. You know what I mean? You got to have a personality. It just can't be this stern, angry Mr. Burns face from the Simpsons. You gotta have a personality, man. You gotta know when to not sit back and walk around with an ass face. With a disgruntled face all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you know for a fact that when you behind and your workers is working, right, and they running behind something, you gotta jump in. Sometimes you got to jump in. The rope is turning. You better jump in that rope, or you gonna fall flat on your face.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had chefs that see the rope turning and just stood back in the background, like let him fall flat on his face.
Yeah, and then and you know what? In them situations, it'd be crazy because now it's 4:00.
He was doing. God, boy. Oh my God, boy. 4 o'clock on the dot.
Shit. I've been eyeing this shit since 3:51.
You couldn't wait for the hit 4 o'clock.
Mondays be rough, dog. Mondays be rough as shit. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
only
I can
do.
imagine, man. You don't really get acclimated until hump day. But
It
look,
is
man,
what
it's
it is.
always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure, man. You know, man, sometimes when you talk about certain things that happened in the past, it kind of just takes some of the stress off the shit that you went through from your past with these jobs, man. So I appreciate this conversation right here.
Yeah, but no doubt, shit. It's a lot better than, doing a drive-by breaking windows. All right, man.
Yeah. All right, boy, I'm gonna holler at you.
All right, man. You have a good night, man. Be good. Be safe.
Matter of fact, I got a call and tell you about a comedy show coming up with your boy on it.
Oh, Lord. All right, then.
All right, I'm gonna call you as soon as you get off. All right.
All right, peace. All right, let's do this. Hold on. Let's take a look at this poll. Because I didn't take a final poll. We have to, 32 votes? All right, let's take a look. All right. If you didn't really want to leave your last job, what would it take for you to go back to the job? 47% says more money, more benefits. Just pay me a little bit more money, I'll come back. 22% says change in leadership or management. Like, yo, you know what I mean? That nut ass supervisor manager who got me fired, they still there. I ain't coming. 22% also said better working conditions and pay. Working conditions are important. They are. Working conditions are important. Because if the job ain't safe, for your health or for your mental well-being, it ain't worth it. And 9% says legally I couldn't return. No way. Like, that can mean it was your fault. It can mean a lot of things. But nonetheless, what it's going to mean is that I can't go back there. Let's do these birthday shout-outs. We have some birthday shout-outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious June 30th, last day of June, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them. Making them feel special because they are special because they are special because they are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They get number one out the box. My girl Ricarda Burrell, promoter extraordinaire. And let's see here. My man Desmond Patterson, professionally known by friends and colleagues as D Smooth. And also my man DJ Vernon Preston, DJ Just Death. Happy birthday to my brother. And also Jonna L. Davis. And I know we ain't done. My girl, Penn State proud, Kelly Cunningham. Happy birthday to you, Kelly Cal. And Yolanda Grantham. And that's going to do it. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all. And I hope that today finds you all in good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And that goes out to each and every person out there born on this glorious June 30th, last day of June, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. Turn up. but don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on and do the rock out, rock on and do the damn rock out, rock on and do the damn thing and do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and I said go hard, go for yours, and remember, yeah, the job you left, felt like you was dead in the street, and they ain't give a F. Yeah, sometimes when you leave your place of work and employment, you feel like it was a deployment. Afghanistan, maybe even Iraq, that shit is crazy. Felt like they shot you in the back, maybe even stabbed, let your blood spill, and all that shit was over some bullshit. It wasn't real. Ready to kill, but you need to calm down, even when somebody tells you that you wasn't around. When things are so great at the job, you feel like you gotta steal and rob. Your livelihood is nothing to play with, and motherfuckers will fire you and won't say shit. Acting like it was just a downside. You got caught up in the matrix. You can't take this. You think this shit is a joke? Well, I'ma pull out my burner and give you a poke, as if I had the shit kind of like a bayonet. I'm about to do this shit, about to stay and get my groove on, maybe even my swerve, make me want to go and get a lawyer, you heard? But I ain't got the dough to be playing around. Gotta keep a roof over my head and gotta do it now. And it sound like I'm a little bitter, but I ain't trying to hear that shit. I was sitting on the shitter, thinking to myself, how can I get back? Was it even worth even doing that? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Sometimes I feel like I ought to call my cousin, because he used to always know how to scheme with the get back. Maybe with that revenge, just say, I don't want to binge off of this bad feeling that I'm getting. The spirit want to hear it. Yo, the gear is stuck in fifth, and I ain't trying to do that shit. You was on my list. I'ma get back. I'ma still be all right. I had to leave that job and almost really had to fight. And I never even got my chance to get my shit off. Yo, I'm gonna do the next thing wrong, but it's still my song. Everything will be all right, but with all my might. Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. I love y'all right back to life. We will be back tomorrow night, 2 a.m. with another Daily Go Get 'Emism show. So make sure y'all come on through. Come on through. Come on through. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. I hope y'all enjoy listening to the show as much as I enjoy broadcasting it. I'm going to holler back at y'all. Y'all have a good night. Be safe. No exceptions. Holla!